So it's time I come clean, because I've been hiding something from you for about a month and a half now. And I've been waiting over 8 years for this moment. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while now, you guys know that I am a huge film photography nerd. But there's one camera that has always haunted me.
I can't afford a Hasselblad Xpan. Always wanted a Hasselblad Xpan. A Hasselblad Xpan.
I first discovered the Xpan over 8 years ago. A 35mm film camera with a panoramic format that just hits different. It's cinematic, it's rare, and yeah, it's not cheap. I would check listings late at night like I was checking stock prices, just waiting for the right one. And every single time, I would back out. But then, about a month and a half ago, I finally did it. I found the one. The right condition, the right price. It felt like fate. And you know what the crazy part is? I didn't even tell my closest friends or anybody for that matter, not even this channel. I kept it a secret. So where did I take it first? Europe. I spent the last few weeks traveling, shooting street photography in some of the most photogenic cities in Europe. And every single frame was with this camera. You see, the Xpan isn't just a camera, it's a mindset shift. It changes how you see the world from a rectangle to essentially a cinematic panoramic format. It slows you down, it makes you more intentional, and lastly, it forces you to make every image feel like a movie. Now, before I show you the images I made with this camera, I want to first talk about something very important, and that is how the camera handles. Well, for starters, the camera is pretty large. This, of course, is to accommodate the size of the film plane we are shooting, which equals out to about two 35mm frames side by side. The lens that I'm using is the 45mm f4, which is not too large as well, making this camera actually pretty comfortable to handle in the hands. But there's one thing that I wanted to note about this camera, and that is this camera relies on a battery to operate. This means without the battery, the shutter will not fire, the light meter will not work, and of course the film will not advance. And even though I've been fantasizing about this camera and how perfect it is for the past 8 years, being battery reliant actually ended up being my biggest problem in Europe. Now, the problem is not the camera itself. It's actually pretty impressive what this camera can do. The Xpan features aperture priority. It also features an in-camera light meter, blazing fast shutter speeds up to 1/2000th of a second. But at the end of the day, without the battery, this camera does not operate. And while traveling from Brussels to Paris on a very long train ride, I made a huge mistake. Somehow, while I was on the train, I left the camera on. And after I arrived in Paris, I put the camera inside of my bag and completely forgot to turn it off. The next morning, I woke up determined and hungry to hit the streets of Paris. I took one step outside, turned the camera on, only to be greeted with a dead camera.
Well, the Xpan had other plans.
Having a dead Hasselblad Xpan was something that I did not even consider when packing for this trip. And so I was forced to make a tough decision, and that was to go out and find a camera shop. Now, this was my first time in Paris, so I was not aware of any camera shops nearby or anywhere really that I could just purchase a battery. But by the luck of Apple Maps, I was able to locate a store. The only problem is, it was on the other side of the city. So I did what any other photographer would. I hopped on a subway train, rode about 5 or 6 stops, walked about 2 kilometers, and ended up at a camera store. I prayed and prayed and prayed that they would have the battery that I needed, and to my surprise, when I arrived, they had the batteries. Now, other than this battery issue, the Xpan handled like a dream. And with that said, I want to discuss the experience of shooting the Xpan while looking through the first few images. But before we move on, I want to quickly talk about something every photographer looking to establish their name online should have. What is it, you may ask? A stunning professional online website. And hands down, the best way to get started with your own professional online website is through the sponsor for this portion of the video, which is the good folks over at Squarespace. Squarespace is your all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Now, getting your own professional website up and running is simple. With Squarespace's cutting-edge design tools, you can use Blueprint AI to help you tailor your dream website just by simply answering a couple of questions about your design. Squarespace also features a ton of award-winning templates you can use instead to get started within minutes. Next, if you wanted to display your work professionally, you can build your own portfolio or gallery page. And lastly, if you've always dreamed of having an online store, look no further. Squarespace offers an amazing platform to sell both physical and digital products. Your customers can use a wide array of accepted payment methods and even different options for shipping all in one place. So start building your dream website today by heading over to squarespace.com/kingjapes and entering promo code kingjapes at checkout to get 10% off of your first purchase of a domain or a website. Huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now, I gotta be honest here, the first few images were actually shot in the States prior to this trip, but I want to start with the images in Europe first. Now, I shot about 8 rolls through the Hasselblad Xpan, 4 of those being Portra 400 and the other 4 being Cinestill 800T. With that said, a 36 exposure roll gets you about 20 panoramic images, but Hasselblad implemented a really cool feature that allows you to shoot a standard size 35mm frame if you desire. With the flick of a switch, the camera goes from panoramic mode to a standard 35mm frame. When in panoramic mode, the 45mm lens gives off a roughly 25mm field of view. This is actually one of the Xpan's strengths, as it provides you a wide-angle field of view without any distortion. Taking a quick look at the edges of the frame here, all of the horizontal lines stay straight. However, I found that this camera can be a bit tricky when it comes to horizons. The slightest tilt in your frame often results in an image that looks like an exaggerated Dutch tilt. And for some reason, this is actually something I struggled a lot with during this trip. I also use the Hasselblad Xpan in vertical mode to capture wide-angle scenes from top to bottom. Now, this isn't a very suitable format for most things, but it came in clutch for architectural shots. Now to answer the big question that has been stirring up in my mind. Is the Xpan the real deal, or is it all hype? Now, my answer unfortunately is not black and white. It's a bit more complex. To a certain degree, I don't think the Xpan is fully worth the money. It is an odd format which few photographers really use these days. It's extremely expensive, with a median price for a body and lens roughly being around $5,000 to $7,000. Lastly, this camera operates on a battery, meaning there are internals in there that eventually will die out, making me feel like the Hasselblad Xpan is just an expensive ticking time bomb. But the other half of me is actually happy. The Xpan is everything I imagined it to be. If you're looking at buying a 35mm film camera, do not buy an Xpan unless you already have a standard 35mm camera. And this is why I truly believe the Xpan is a special camera for me. It makes me feel like every shot is a movie. And if you haven't been able to tell, I've been using more Cinestill 800T with this camera for that sole purpose of trying to make cinematic frames. So at least for me, the Hasselblad Xpan is worth it. While it may not be the camera for everyone, there is one thing we cannot deny, and that is the legendary status this camera has in the photography world. And because of this, the Xpan will always be in my collection. Now, I plan on making more videos with this camera, so if you want to see more content, comment down below what videos you want to see on it. Also, I'm going back to scheduled uploads, which will be every other Monday moving on forward. So if you aren't already, hit that subscribe button down below and drop a like as well for more film photography videos. But that is going to wrap it up for now. I will see you in the next one. As always, Xpan gang.